Yo, keep it high, keep it tight. It's Jay Review Guy back to bring you another album review. And in this one, we are going to be talking about Panic at the Disco's new album entitled Pray for the Wicked. So, this for me is a bit of a mixed bag. This is the band's follow-up to their fifth studio album, Death of a Bachelor, which I actually own on physical copy. It's somewhere over there, but I own that on physical copy, and I am thoroughly a fan of Panic at the Disco's previous discography as well. I think that it's very polished. I like the type of unique flavor that the band brings to the table with their pop punk kind of baroque sounding symphonic epic sound with a lot of theatrical violin and piano pieces that mix with Brendan Urie's flawless vocals and a great production that usually craft really good albums. Well, the reason I feel like this is a bit of a mixed bag for me is, okay, it's 11 tracks, 34 minutes, and I feel like this album maybe didn't go as far as it could have. That's kind of a strange complaint. It's a good album. I think that it brings back the same type of baroque sounding music, the very theatrical, epic type of music with Brendan Urie's trademark vocals and trademark just like borderline serious, borderline silly type of lyricism, some funny lyrics, some serious lyrics, good song structure, good instrumentals. But at the same time, I almost feel like maybe the band could have done even more with their sound going forward. Death of a Bachelor for me was a phenomenal album and could have been close to Album of the Year if I would have been doing album reviews back in 2016 is when it came out, I believe. I would have given it like a 10 out of 10 easily. Well, for this album, I there's not so much to say about individual tracks because it really just feels like Panic at the Disco is going more into that kind of traditional pop type of territory. But the reason that this album is still able to succeed in my eyes is because of Brendan Urie's pitch-perfect vocalization. With that combined with their Panic at the Disco sound that is mixing with this more mainstream pop type of appeal with some eclectic strange stylings that are kind of normal to the band, bleeding through a bit into the actual foundation of the album, I think that it does succeed. And it does set it above other pop bands, other pop artists by leagues. And Panic at the Disco, I think, are moving into even more of a direction, and I wouldn't be surprised if their next album is even more so, where they're taking this jazzy type of sound and veneer and feel, and Brendan Urie's vocals are just soaring over these epic instrumentals, whether it be these pop punk type of epics or these piano, violin infused jazz, just funky type of instrumentals, and with some like R&B influences kind of somewhat tossed in anywhere they particularly want to be, kind of miscellaneously put around the edges of this album. And I have to say that even though this album I feel like personally disappoints just a tad in terms of Death of a Bachelor because my hopes were set super high, super through the roof when it came to that album, and I was super excited to see what was going to come after. And it's more so just I had such high expectations going off the high of Death of a Bachelor, and I think that this album succeeds in its own right, but for me maybe falls a bit short compared to Death of a Bachelor. And just for the sheer fact that I wish they maybe would have experimented a bit more, maybe would have went into some different type of territories with their sound, I'll give it a 9 out of 10 because I feel like it would have been perfect if they maybe just would have thrown in a little bit more experimentation and a little bit more of that traditional Panic at the Disco sound. But I can definitely respect the kind of change they're making, that their trademark sound, because every band has to change up their style, has to change up their sound to kind of stay with the times, to stay popular, to stay with it, or else they'll get left behind by other bands that are experimenting, that are going above and beyond with the kind of strange styles, the avant-garde, the kind of indie type of scene that has been flourishing for a while. And Panic at the Disco, for me, succeeds with this album. I wish they maybe would have done a bit more experimentation, but overall, fans of the band are going to like this album. And if you want to give Panic at the Disco a try, this could be the album that you could start with, although I would personally pick A Fever You Can't Sweat Out, or maybe Death of a Bachelor, or pretty much any of their discography. They're a consistent band for the most part, and this definitely still has a lot of the little ticks that Panic at the Disco fans have come to love. And yeah, 9 out of 10. I like the album a lot, but give me your thoughts. What do you think about the album if you've listened to it? Drop a like, comment down below. I'll shout your channel out. Drop a subscribe if you haven't, and hit the bell for future videos. It helps me out a lot. And I'll talk to you guys next time. But until then, my name is არე8bę뾱Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.
Oh no, what your mama gonna say when I tell her that I broke no heart? It's just things aren't the way that they used to be.